Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's Smoking and Toasting. By the way, for those of you who don't watch the show live on Facebook when it goes out, I do recommend doing so because sometimes the in-between the segment stuff, like great prog rock and metal discussion we just had here. So you know, it's just you never know what's going to happen. Actually, you never know what's going to happen during the segment.
That's true.
But
I will be going home to Spotify later.
Yes,
and checking some stuff out.
Good.
That was all. That's
well,
good.
Well, when you do check out the latest. You check out any of the Porcupine Tree albums, or you can check out the latest album from Porcupine Tree's Steven Wilson, the kind of head guy.
Cool.
I guess.
No, I'll check it out.
Yeah. I saw him last year. Oh my God, phenomenal!
Speaking on, like, before we jump into the segment, on a kind of awesome, both metally and prog rocky, the fact that I can listen to Tool on Spotify now is amazing.
Maynard finally gave in, and the album comes out with tomorrow. Is that right?
Man, I'm telling you.
Also on Spotify.
Learn to swim.
Is
Learn
the Blackout
swim.
Vipers.
Oh, yes.
That's my band.
Which I really want
awesome.
to see live. I've been trying to see the Blackout Vipers live.
You'll have that opportunity next month.
I tried really hard a couple of weeks ago, but it just wasn't meant to be.
That's its own story.
I know. And I love making you almost think that I'm going to force you to tell it.
Well, you will have a chance to see that in about a month, by the way.
I'm looking forward to it. I've heard the encore song is brilliant.
That's amazing.
All right. So one of the things that did happen last week that I don't know if we had a chance to address or not. We had a great guest on the show, by the way, last week from Trinquero Spirits. He was awesome. We got to taste some things we'd never probably have thought to taste.
That I would enjoy vermouth just by itself.
Absolutely.
That dry vermouth was outstanding.
Absolutely. And that whiskey was delicious, too.
Yes.
It was really good.
Yes, I have been enjoying that whiskey.
All right, good to know. So, because of having a guest and talking other spirits, we didn't really get a chance to properly celebrate last week. One of the days was National Rum Day.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll celebrate it today, a little late, with some Appleton Estate Rare Blend. And while you're pouring that, let's talk rum a little, because I loved going back and seeing some of the information about how rum even came to be. Wow, that was good.
I had to get
that's like beer pong right there, only it's rum pong.
I had to get a little bit of sound effect from that.
I love it. Rum commands about almost 9.5% of the total spirits market in the U.S., which I'm going to be honest with you is a little larger than I thought. I would have actually thought it would have been
currently
a little bit
the
less
state
than
of American
with
whiskey.
the way whiskey is so huge right now, and of course, you know, vodka being as big as it is.
Absolutely.
And then you got tequila, which is on an upswing as well. So it's always interesting to see how these things play out. Globally, rum makes up about 4.5% of the global spirit market.
Sure.
But I think it's obviously bigger in certain areas. The Caribbean comes
the
to
Americas
mind.
happen to be where it's probably consumed the most.
So it's a truly worldwide spirit. But here's how rum originated. There is no other agricultural product that goes into rum except sugarcane. So you can't make it from anywhere else and have it be rum. Whereas there are some spirits, the same thing with tequila and agave, but there are some spirits you can distill from a number of sources.
Indeed.
Vodka comes to mind, and still have it wind up being that spirit once it's done. The origins of sugarcane came from the 15th century BC, and the first place that we knew about this plant was Papua New Guinea. You think, wow. Huh. You would have expected it to be the Caribbean, right? Because Papua New Guinea's way over, like, Australia side of the world. Yeah, right. But it was part of Papua New Guinea's crops that they raised way back in the day, 15th century BC. And through trade, the plant made its way into India, Saudi Arabia, and Spain. From Spain, Christopher Columbus brought it in his second voyage to the Americas. He brought sugarcane during his second trip in 1493, basically because he thought the cheap labor of slaves in the New World would allow him to create quite a bit of sugar export to Spain, which was his home country. So the African slaves that were later forced to harvest the crop noticed in the harvesting that the juice of the plant would ferment all by itself, just naturally. After 3 days in contact with just the yeast in the environment, it would start to ferment naturally, and they started to drink it and suddenly saw, and I'm quoting from the article I read this from, quote, a change in their mood, end quote. So they first started to call this root spirit Kill Devil because it chilled people out. And you think about that. Like, you don't know many rum drinkers that drink a little rum and then get boisterous. Rum drinkers just get fun and chill, you know? So as Kill Devil gained popularity, people started taking notice, and that included pirates. And pirates would begin looting ships and become interested in having rum for their long voyages between the Caribbean and Europe. It wasn't until the 16th century that rum got transformed into the spirit that we drink today, with cleaning and distilling the alcohol in a proper way. Those processes were brought from Europe to America, so rum became what we know now. Rum houses like Florida Caña began producing rum on a really large scale, and that's when the spirit began to spread. So, but I thought that was fascinating. That it originated in Papua New Guinea, was brought from Spain to the Americas, basically so slave labor could
harvest
the sugar cane. That's where they found out, hey, this juice is pretty good after a few days.
No, that's crazy.
It's actually one of the
then pirates spread it around the world.
Unfortunate connections that rum will always have is directly to slavery. At one point, I believe it was called the Golden Trade, where it was literally traded for people to get more slaves to make more rum.
And it is unfortunate, and yet there are so many products that we know and use every day that have those same, unfortunate
origins.
Links.
We all
hope that we learn as we, we hope that we learn as we move forward. Right. You're right. We all wear cotton shirts.
And that's the thing, though. But that's one of the things, and I believe it wasn't even that long ago that Florida Caña went through some issues with the fair trade of their rum harvesting, and they actually became very transparent because of it, and are now like one of the most successful and I can't think of the word, but I want to say cohesive, but that's not right. Cooperative with where their rum is being made.
Well, there are a number of larger rum producers. Florida Caña that we mentioned is one of the biggest, and boy, do they make some amazing rums.
We drank much of that when we were in Honduras.
Yes, we did. Who was the one dude? Was he the dude from Pittsburgh that kept like sneaking away the 21 and hiding it in the freezer? I'm like, hey, some of the rest of us, and he was using it in like rum and Coke.
Yeah.
I'm like,
come on.
dude. The 7 will work just great for that. You leave that 21 over here for those of us who are doing it
all
neat.
you have is a couple bottles of 21 and you really want a rum and Coke, fine. But if you've got a 7 and a
damn
21,
good rum and Coke, right?
Come on.
But I will say, I sure enjoyed sitting there sipping the 7. It was awfully good all by itself. So Florida Caña is great. And Appleton Estates is another of the sort of big names in rum, Jamaican rum specifically.
Absolutely.
And these guys, just their base, we've had it on the show before, their base like signature blend is just a very good basic rum. Great in cocktails, good enough to sip alone if you want to, just pour it neat or maybe over a cube of ice. This, though, is taking their rum to a little bit different level. This is the rare blend, and this is this 12-year.
I also love the value in rum. And I know you and I have talked about this, and I've definitely mentioned on the show, but when you talk about great in cocktails, they can stand alone as a sipper, but even the really good sippers, you can get, like, they're A, available, and B, for a very approachable price point. Like the flavor to cost value. Like, remember when you guys used to do like this, or maybe sometimes still do with the cigars, like
the price
to quality. Yep,
price to quality measurement. Like with rums, man, it's good.
Yes,
like you get out there like the Zayas that are you can get a 16-year, or a Florida Caña 7 or 12.
Sure.
We talk about the Zacapa all the time. But
Zacapa is a great price to quality.
The plantations.
Plantations. Those are amazing rums, and they're generally $20 to $30.
You can get a crazy aged rum for like $60
I know.
for plantation. I mean, it's awesome.
This one that we're going to taste today is Signature Blend. It's a 12-year.
I've already tasted it.
If you were drinking,
what do you mean by gonna?
If you were drinking a 12-year whiskey,
sure,
what would you guess that bottle cost would be likely to be in a range?
These days, I would say you're up in that 77, 85. Anything with some good age to it.
$40.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I think you can probably price it between 40 and 45.
And I think you get so many of the similar flavor profiles. Like if you're having a smoke.
Right.
You get so much of the same pairings, the vanillin, the caramel, some of the eugenol that comes through. I will wave that flag right now because you can go get this. Like we could sit here on this show and talk about
this at Specs.
Amazing whiskeys.
use that word eugenol. Would you explain that for our?
So the two big flavor components, I specifically will use rum and whiskey. Obviously, there are flavor components in many more things. Vanillin and eugenol are really good friends. And so vanillin is exactly what you think. It's vanilla, it's caramel, white flour, honey. And eugenol is sort of the other end of that circle, which is your baking spices. So think cinnamon, clove, allspice, five spice. So for example, in American whiskey, the predominant in a bourbon would be vanillin, and the predominant in a rye is more likely to be eugenol. Right. So with bourbons, you tend, like especially your wheaters, they tend to live on the front of your tongue. And then your more eugenol friendly, your ryes, things like that, your high ryes on the bourbon side, they tend to live more on the back of your palate. Beam Suntory is notorious for this because that's why Maker's Mark and Knob Creek are what they are.
Right.
One is designed to be the sweet wheat on the front, and one is
the
designed to be the spicy rye on the back.
Absolutely.
And they don't cannibalize themselves with their own whiskey. It's an amazing thing.
But they're two of their biggest sort of crafty.
I'm telling you right now, like Knob Creek is a go-to. Like if
absolutely.
I walk into a bar and there's too much going on or whatever, or they don't have what I want, or I'm just not even I'm just like, you know what, give me a Knob Creek on the rocks, and I'm a happy man.
And I will say, I always have a bottle of Maker's 46 in my bar.
See, I'm the Maker's cask. Now that the Maker's cask is out, the Maker's cask is all.
We got to go there. That's a future trip.
Well, you guys have been talking a lot. I've been doing research.
And I love that about you because you are devoted to the craft, and to the to making sure that the proper research is done for the show.
I have been doing the research. This is delicious. This is not smooth in the way some of the ones you've brought in before are, and you can guarantee if it's rum on the show that I probably wasn't the one that brought it. Not for the fact that I don't like rum. It's just not my biggest drinker.
Sure,
and you know much more about it. This, however, has such a pleasant beginning in the flavor. I mean, it starts off with that sugar and the vanillins and all those things, and then it finishes with that spicy bite. And you know you're drinking an alcoholic beverage. This is not super smooth on the finish, but it's good. It's got a great little amount of bite to it.
I have certainly had smoother rums, even younger rums that were smoother. But this rum, what I like about it is it plays on two different areas of the tongue. When you first take that first sip, it's the front end, the tip, and the front end of your tongue get this wonderful little heat tingle. Then you get the flavors, very, very rich in the vanillas and the caramels, toasted caramel for days. And then after you swallow, the finish kind of brings this warmer heat to the back part of your tongue and the upper palate. And it is really... I'll go back to it being an experience, and when I was reading that article where they talked about the people's mood changes, this changes my mood, and in a very mellow and positive way.
Absolutely.
And that, to me, that's what I love so much about rum. Is it's tequila is an exciting spirit. It plays on you differently. Rum just makes you mellow.
It's a very mellow thing.
Yeah,
it's just interesting how good this is, and the bite on it is immediate, which gives us that effect of it's not as smooth as some, but it's so good. I mean, in the same way that beef jerky is not smooth,
right? But it's delicious.
Yeah. So I mean,
exactly.
I'm not saying that there's anything bad about it. It's just one of those things.
One of the reasons that I have become such an aficionado of rum is, and when I say aficionado, I don't in any way mean expert. I just mean somebody that loves it and keeps trying new stuff and wants to be all about it, is because of how well rum generally goes with a cigar. I don't know if I've ever had a rum that I've thought, that doesn't really go with the cigar. And with whiskey, with some, certainly with craft beer, even sometimes with tequilas, you have to be a little more careful, although... Boy, there's some great pairings in there with all those things, but you're looking at the show notes, I'd say.
Well, so on a response here, we got a couple things. So Wiki Brian has popped up, and for some reason above his name, it now says, it has a little flag and says milestone follower. That's got to be good, right?
Well, I think the only other person I know of as a milestone follower was that person who did that review that didn't didn't like our guest.
So
or us,
he put in eugenol is a colorless to pale yellow aromatic oily liquid extracted from certain essential oils, especially from clove oil, nutmeg, cinnamon, basil, and bay leaf.
Awesome. He's always so good to do
Yeah,
that,
he's really
that
good
level
like that,
research
isn't he?
for us. Yeah.
So I want to take a quick pause and give a shout out because today's a special day for one of our close friends of the show, Mr. Alan Denny.
I love Alan Denny.
Yeah,
even though,
he's so
even
fun.
though it has been said that nobody cares about
Nobody
him,
cares about him.
I actually do. You know?
Today his cigar
Alan Denny?
shop. Today
Totally
his
a joke.
cigar shop is opening in Galveston, Texas. So
Nice.
we're back to the whole pirate and rum thing. Right?
Yes, I love it.
Yarg.
That is awesome.
It's
G-Town.
called
Shout out to
Galveston.
Guidos.
It's called Galveston Island Cigar Lounge. It's at 1813 61st Street, Suite 104 in Galveston, Texas. They open today at 4 o'clock, come hell or high water. And I think it's just going to be hell because it looks great outside
Yeah,
right now. He's
yeah.
not going to have high water.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Alan.
Congratulations. Yeah, absolutely. And
We will be doing a show from there very
yes,
soon.
yes, very soon. In about a month, we're going to be doing a show out of there, and we're seeing about getting some local brewery on or something else fun like that.
We'll have to maybe try to do a rum that to keep the pirate theme going.
Yarg.
Maybe we'll do a rum. I would think although we won't be going there by boat.
We can wear an eye patch.
Talk to the guys
On
at
the show.
Beerfoot, man. Those guys brew some great beers.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's on the
Beerfoot?
seawall.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Beerfoot. When I used to work at Guidos, man, and that was like, we'd go over to Beerfoot, and they'd always have really, really cool stuff that all local. I mean, they have other beers that you can get, but like Beerfoot, if you're on the seawall, and I know there's more now.
Well, the two I was looking at were Beerfoot and Galveston Island Breweries.
Yeah, absolutely. But Beerfoot's great, man. They do a lot of cool seasonal stuff.
Well, I'm looking-
and they also have a pretty decent whiskey selection, including Redbreast 12-year.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Well, see.
Single
Which we're going to
pot
have
still.
to do on the show
Sure.
now, since it's been declared
Yeah,
the greatest.
best
next time we're at
whiskey
B&B,
ever.
man. I've got
right.
it on the shelf. I keep
All
it in
right,
stock.
that sounds good. When we go down to Galveston, by the way, we won't be going by boat. We'll be going down there for our pirate and cigar celebration in my car.
In your car.
Yeah, and the whole show will be filled with bad pirate jokes.
Oh, yes.
I promise.
Oh, yes.
So
I
you're saying
promise.
you shouldn't let the kids watch because it'll
Yeah.
be rated R.
I'm saying, my wife will not want to watch that episode. That's what I'm saying. She'll be like, okay, the pirate jokes were great for about a minute and a half. Yeah. All right, let's take a break, gentlemen. When we come back, I do want to talk just a tiny bit more about this rum, but we have a craft beer that I'm really excited to be getting to, and you brought another spirit, didn't you?
Oh yeah.
What did you bring?
I figure in the spirit of talking about the sniff, and
Yeah.
since on
That's
the
right.
show
That's right.
during the recording of this, I got confirmation that we got the date that we wanted, so we were
Perfect.
absolutely
So
free
we're
and clear to
absolutely
say it.
free and clear to say the
We
date.
can talk about it.
We will talk about it. We'll make that big announcement, and then we'll be sampling this Advanced Oak Belgian style Quint.
Pretty
Gentlemen,
excited about this
how
beer.
are you doing? Just in terms of your buzz level.
Good. We've been sipping.
yeah,
I
I'm
ate
doing-
right before I
I'm
came.
doing all
I
right,
was-
yeah.
All right,
That's some
because
food.
this is 15.
I love it already.
I was
You
just
love
about to
it already.
say, all right, so
We're
this
gonna
is
be
this
going
is going to
there.
be Ian's segment.
Yes,
Boozy.
and we'll get to that segment next on Smoking and Toast.
What's up, Christopher Hart?